It's like Friends, where people just like are constantly going into each other's apartment and saying witty anecdotes and then leaving right on cue.
They also all live across the street.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's a whole. It's a
These
sitcom.
are your literal neighbors.
And it's an Asian sitcom, except for that one white guy.
I thought when I showed up, I was like, oh, all
But
these
he's
people are
married
on
to
the.
the Asian girl, so.
They're married?
Yeah.
When did they get married?
Last year.
Oh, congratulations. For recording.
Hell yeah.
Already?
We're live. We're live, guys.
Oh, we like
Hi.
to streamline into things.
Yeah,
It's cool.
It's
the hip thing to do.
yeah, it's a way to check the mic
There's
levels
no
too.
actual
Yeah.
starting point.
No.
Okay.
Hey guys, welcome to I Shoot LA. Sitting across from me, the man with the plan who is not named Stan. In fact, his name's just Shintani. Chris
Hello.
Shintani, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
And to my right, the littlest producer that could, the best person in my life. She wears many hats, including the literal hat she's wearing right now, which literally says Lil Kim on it, which I saw. Guys, it's Kim Tran, aka
sick.
Yeah.
Lil
Hi.
Kim.
Howdy, everybody.
Hey.
Kim
How are you?
Tran.
So we're gonna get into all things Kim Tran, aka Lil Kim, in a bit. But first, let's just do a catch-up. Katchup Korner.
Katchup Korner.
Katchup Korner.
So many corners.
So many corners.
I love it.
Yeah, very cool. What did you shoot this week, Shintani?
This week I shot with my friend Ashley. We just did a little like fun test shoot. I have 5 jobs lined. I'm like consulting with a.
I want to be a consultant.
Company
Do you get a
team.
briefcase and like a
should
power
bring
lunch with a martini? Like what's a consultant do? I mean, I know what he
I
does, but
should
what are you
do
doing?
that. I'm lighting for them.
Oh, nice.
I'm basically lighting teching for them and then helping them develop their studio better.
Yeah, very
Which
cool.
the
You're gonna
name
get a
of-
little some pair of 222s and a Broncolor move pack and
I was just gonna say breeze all the
some
way.
that the studio's running deep with the
They want
breeze.
To 11.
I was like, yeah, just get a bunch of like
Pinkies
Pro
up.
11 packs
'Cause
and
10s aren't
some
good
breezy
anymore.
boys.
No, the
Trash.
10s are 1/3 nanoseconds slower, and we can't have that because Ecom they move so fast.
It
Oh, yeah.
cannot
You need to
work.
freeze the action when you're doing
Impossible.
you
step
have to be able to
repeats.
shoot 25 frames a second.
Yeah.
With the strobe
Yeah.
'Cause
at full power.
the 17th frame out of the 70 that you shot
Yeah.
in that one burst is the one.
Yeah,
Yes.
V1, and it's listen. There's a reason they're on top.
yeah.
Myself, I shot like I said. I last episode with John Jay. I just gotten back from Miami from that whole campaign, so I'm deep in post. A lot of just kind of color grading a gajillion images. Fortunately, they're doing the actual retouching in house,
Nice.
so I don't have to retouch all the
So your
knees,
blanket
elbows, balancing
Crotches.
crotches. Honestly, crotches.
Tons of
Yeah.
crotches.
Armpits and crotches. Those
all
are like
there
my
is
worst
to-
nightmares.
Yeah,
Honestly.
and that's just like you get into photography and you're like, oh, we can shoot these amazing, ladies in swimwear, and it's like, yeah, they're all beautiful, but they're human beings, and at 45 megapixel, resolution, you see
See
a
a
lot of
lot.
ingrown hair. You just gotta get, and by the way, it's fine, but they do need to be erased, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. So fortunately, I do not have to be doing that. Lil Kim, we're gonna talk all about you in a second and your 1,000 jobs.
She's awesome.
And we exactly.
I'm so excited to have you
Yeah,
on.
we are actually
1,002.
super pumped to have you. But before we get into that, tell us what you're doing right now, work-wise.
I really thought that you were going to say before that, let's get to our first sponsor. Like play a quick commercial.
ZipRecruiter.com. Squarespace.
I really
Blue
thought
Apron.
we were leading into that.
Should we just start
Go to
manifesting a bunch
quick
of sponsors?
commercial break
I
know.
before we get to you.
It's only our 4th episode.
Sponsored by B&H Camera.
Yeah,
For all your photo needs.
yeah.
Why are we not? I was like, ding, ding, ding.
We need the soundboard.
Like, we need that.
We're gonna get a soundboard because we have to. Because what I want to do with the soundboard is start doing drops of people we know who are on, and they say something stupid.
Yes.
We'll do drops. It'll be great.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, the original question. What am I working on?
What are you working on right now, work-wise, and what is your role? Because again, you wear 1,000 hats,
I-
and we're gonna get all into a minute. But let's just get a
Totally.
let's get a quickie.
Yeah, I just worked on a couple celebrity shoots. One was for Numero yesterday, and then I worked on a variety shoot last week, and then I'm doing some album artwork next week. And I was supposed to work on Super Bowl Sunday for somebody who used to date Shawn Mendes, but I am not going to be working on that job because hometown pride. Gotta watch the bowl.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I hope they win then, because then
I know it's gonna be
say,
devastating.
Yeah, otherwise you could have made like $7,000 or whatever your rate is.
Yeah. But it's fine. Who wants to be? I thought about the fact that I'd be lugging gear around Hollywood and everyone would be drunk and eating,
Nachos.
disgusting food,
Yeah.
and I was sad just thinking about that.
Yeah, and just for the listener, Lil Kim came in knowing that she's recording a podcast with us, but she brought with her
more gear than we have.
We actually have. She brought in a DAT. She brought in an amp. She brought in her own cans. I can't imagine what your kit is like at home, depending on whatever job you're doing.
I love it.
I just thought, just in case. I didn't want to seem like
we
a
were
noob.
Professional podcast.
I didn't know. I didn't want to look noobish.
So you thought we were professional? Sweet Lil Kim. Good Lord.
I appreciate that kind of.
I was sure there was an entire rig, like a sound booth that I go into. I open it and step inside.
Yeah, you're Robin from Howard Stern. No, we'll get there. This is episode 4. Okay.
There was like a spit guard for my mic and stuff. All of those.
We are turning this into 2.5 Asians.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Yes, I forgot. Yes. Once again, like episode 1.
I'm on retainer for just showing up to be the two of the two.
Two of the two.
Just like Larson's episode 1. Once again, episode 4. We have 2.5 Asians between the 3 of us at this table. We're progressive.
I like minority.
Yeah.
Just hitting those numbers, real nice. Census reports. Come at us.
You can be vague, but anything interesting happen on any of these jobs? You don't have to be like, just be like, hey, this person did this, or this disaster happened, or
hair set on fire.
Yeah.
No.
Or caught somebody making out in the closet.
No, I wish I could say something was good on these shoots. I'm trying to think of one that's even recent.
Did the set on fire?
Or was that part of the shoot?
That has happened in the past to me.
Nice.
I won't name names, but I was on a shoot and somehow, unbeknownst to us, oh my God, and it's so funny because the shoot I was on yesterday, it happened to the sibling. It's a very famous set of siblings, and their whole family is famous. Anyways, the whole point is I was on the shoot with the sibling, and
Olsen
the
twins.
Elinchrom set on fire during the shoot.
What?
Yeah, the sock or something had somehow set on fire, which caught onto the Elinchrom, and then the
my God.
either the internal baffle or something like set on fire while we were there. And I remember the talent was sitting on a chair in front, and I was looking at the screen, and all I heard was nope, and she just got up and walked away, and I look up, and the whole thing's just in flames.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but that's the only recent thing I can think of that was.
So studios.
So now whenever I work with her, I bring it up. Like, remember when that set was on fire? And she was like, #, never forget. She always says it whenever I meet up with her.
You also bring a fire extinguisher from now on,
Now I'm
along
ready.
with your
I'm ready
many
for that.
other things.
That's all the producer things.
now in the kit.
Add a fire extinguisher to the kit now. Let's see, Advil, bug spray, fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
Gotta
Sunscreen.
Have it.
Always sunscreen.
Gotta have
No one ever brings sunscreen.
No,
Yeah.
everyone brings sunscreen.
Oh, I never bring sunscreen.
People
I'm always asking for it.
People don't bring like
people don't bring
tampons
sunscreen?
or something.
I don't bring sunscreen.
I have tampons here.
That's pretty good.
I mean, before I moved in with Jamie, I used to always have
yeah,
them.
that's a
'cause
big
I was
one.
like, just in case.
I feel like that's one
That's
that
a
people
very
forget.
thoughtful and considerate thing to have.
Yeah.
I was like that and like Q-tips.
It's bougie. When I go to a studio and I see tampons, I'm like,
You are a good studio.
slow clap time.
Yeah.
Slow clap.
They've thought of it.
Yeah.
They've done their due
I know,
diligence.
because some studios don't even have soap. So
Yeah.
Toilet paper.
Or toilet.
You're like,
Or like
guys.
doors for their bathroom.
Yeah. Milk is really sliding. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a new vibe they're going for these days.
It's very
Speaking
bohemian.
of which, welcome to our next sponsor,
Milk Studios. This just in has pulled their sponsorship due to not funny jokes.
It's so great.
So it sounds like you've been doing like magazine work, gallery work, and a lot of like celebrity work.
Yeah, album work, a lot of.
Is that what you've been doing a lot lately in the last couple of years, or is it really is bounce between fashion and
Yeah, it's a lot of entertainment work recently, which is great because there was a long hiatus, I would say, like right before the pandemic, that I wasn't doing it. And I think I was having a little bit of a job transition for a while to try to see if I could get out of the entertainment hole because it wasn't working for me. But now I'm in it again, and I'm really happy. And I'm working with, I think, the caliber of talent that I was hoping to in the past, but I wasn't hitting it. So yeah, it's good. It's a little taxing on the body, but
Right.
this career is
It's taxing on the body.
this career.
Yeah.
It's either taxing on your brain or it's taxing on your body.
That's what I was saying last week about Miami. It's like so the actual shoot was 3 days straight.
He also cut his arm wide open.
Yeah, ran into bar.
Do you have his car?
Not really. It's fine. I listened to the episode. It's harrowing. Oh, God. But like it was 14-hour days, and I'm like, especially in the Miami sun. I'm like, and by the way, it's only January.
You're right, scorching.
I could not do like it was exhausting. I'm like, oh, I'm just getting old.
Yes.
It just catches up with you.
I see it all the time, and I'm always like, how much more can I sustain this life is really the question. I'm thinking back on the people I work with who really are like lifers per se, and I'm like, either they've sacrificed a part of their life that I don't want to, which is like personal life, and they are just, roguishly like doing their thing and like it doesn't matter, or they're also like getting out of it. Like a ton of my friends are just hitting that spot where they're like, my personal life is more important, I gotta get out of it.
Is it an age thing, or is it just how many years they've been in the business thing, regardless of age?
Yes. Yes. I just think you just come to that point where you either realize like I'm going to stick with it, or it's it's time to. It's always whenever I talk to somebody who's changed, they're like, oh, I'm going to do a complete 180. Like a good friend of mine went into mortgage brokerage. He moved to Austin, left the whole thing, left it all together. I had a really good friend who was a pro department at Sammy's, and she and I were even in cahoots to try to open up a studio, I would say 5-6 years back, and left that. She went to Wall Street. Like, it's all, they either just go, 180 and take some other career, or they just stick with it. But it's a bit of but I digress.
Yeah, no, but that's interesting because I often wonder like what that future would be for me if I were to step away. It's like, I think I'd be an amazing agent, but we can talk about you are an agent. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into the Wayback Machine in a second.
Well, I think too, like, I feel like our industry, it's always the marathon game. Like, it's never like the quick, all right, I hopped in, I make a ton of money, and like...
It's not like crypto. By the way, Lil Kim, you won't know this, but we're trying really hard to not make half of each episode about crypto and NFTs. We're trying really hard.
Trying to wean ourselves off the crypto.
Yeah, is this a photography podcast, or sorry, is this a fashion podcast, or is it crypto?
We're crypto.com.
It could be a side podcast.
Yeah. Speaking of our next sponsor,
crypto.com.
Wow. I have started something. I so wish I didn't bring any of my audio gear and just brought a little xylophone. Like, boom, bing, bing.
But yeah, I always think like it's the way I always try to explain to people where they're just like, oh, how did like even just general success being in the industry, I was like, it's a marathon game. I'm like, the longer you can last in this thing, I'm like, it will run you. Like, it runs you physically, emotionally, like psychologically. It does the whole range on you.
Yeah, because it's completely unpredictable and it's fear-based because you don't know when your next job is, or you don't know when you're going to be able to spend that time with your family that you want to. You don't know to be able to go to the thing. Like, oh, we're all going away. Do I get to go? Or I can't go.
Right.
You do
Massive
miss out.
job FOMO.
Yeah.
You get all of that.
That's it.
It's a big deal.
So I had a question. So you said right now you're kind of in entertainment and doing a little bit of celebrity work, and it's working for you, whereas you had been doing it, I don't know, however many years prior or recently, and you're kind of like wasn't quite up to necessarily what you wanted the standards to be. What, broadly speaking, like what wasn't working before in that genre?
I guess it would have to like delve back into the past a little bit, but I had been an agent and worked under an agent who predominantly dealt in the entertainment realm. And I was like, oh, I'm so attracted to being in that side of the business, entertainment, So I was like, let me try my hand doing that and see if it can like parlay into more, just submerging myself more into that realm. And I think it was much less hands-on in that sense than I thought it would be. And it was wonderful to like say that I had worked on those projects, but they didn't really pan out to something where I could be like proudly talking about the work that I had done in the way. Because it was, when you're an agent, you're proud in a sense for the artist, but it's not really your job,
you made a couple phone calls.
Correct. You're like, oh, I worked on, so-and-so, like a movie poster or something, and you're like, but it's not really, you're not actually in that inner circle where you can say that. It was just more like an artist I represented did this, and like I think it wasn't for me. It was part of the part.
What has been your role then recently where you have been actually pretty satisfied?
So I have.
Because again, you do many things.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Totally. Luckily, I've been able to like link up with some photographers who only work in that entertainment space. So I digitech for them a ton, and then last year I got to wonderfully work on a giant campaign as a producer, and it was a nonprofit, which was even like icing on the cake, but a ton of celebrities came on to like donate their time and their energy and create this amazing campaign, and I produced that, and I felt so empowered, and I felt really good about it. And that was like, oh, I've reached it, like where I can do work that I feel is really fulfilling and it's satisfying and creative, and all those hits all the key points. You've got a little bit of a budget, you've got great people working with you, you've got an exciting creative deck that you can be proud of, and it reaches the masses in a way that isn't phony or
Right.
You're just proud of the work in general, and that's like, what more can you ask for?
Lil Kim, I have here that you got your start running Black Ops wet work missions out of the former Soviet Union Eastern Bloc countries. So
Sick.
my question is killing like breathing for you now, or do you still feel something when you watch that light fade in their eyes and extinguish?
The only thing I can think of is that my name is really common, like sand. So whenever people are like, I found you on Instagram, and I'm like, I'm not even on Instagram. And then like, it says Kim, fashion photographer, and I'm like, that's not me. Like it.
Well, because every photographer doesn't have their own freaking photo on there,
Yeah.
so like, yeah, I mean, my
It's
whole
ridiculous. I was like, Kim Tran didn't
Yeah.
sound like a name that everybody might possibly have, like John Smith. You just
John
immediately thought like, yes, LA-based Kim Tran. That's clearly you. Like,
Yeah.
there's no other.
There's no other. In a city of 18 million,
Yep.
there's literally no other.
So to that Black Ops Kim Tran out there,
Yeah, rock
stealing
and
your
roll.
identity right now.
No, but like, okay, let us truly bring back again. We've teased it several times. You wear many hats. What was first off? Let's quickly run through everything you've ever done. Meaning, like I know. Here's the thing. I know you
Back
as
in elementary.
listen. I was born very young. So I actually know you primarily as a digitech, and
Right.
then I was asking for some producer names, not too recently, but Shinny's like, Shinny. Oh my gosh, I should call you Shinny.
just call me Shinny.
Baby Shinny.
Shintani. Hey, Shinny. Oh, that's my little pet name for you now.
Shin Shin.
Oh, Shin Shin.
Not only do we have Questions Corner, I'm going to be called Shinny.
Shinny, I love that. Then he's like, oh, Lil Kim produces. I'm like, Lil Kim produces? And then he told me you're an agent, and
Yes.
now, like, it's like, or you were an agent, or maybe
Yeah.
you still are. And now you're clearly an equipment lugger PA.
Equipment whore.
Seriously.
Equipment everywhere.
Here's the thing. I met you on your birthday at Jumbo's Clown Room.
Oh yeah.
That was the first time I met you.
No. You met us at
met
the
the
Smashbox
Smashbox
party. I forgot
I did?
about that. Yes.
We both met her.
Yes,
At the
it's true.
Smashbox holiday party.
It's true.
That was the first. You met
The
her for the
holiday
birthday.
party. Yes.
Okay, so no, this goes to my
Yes.
thesis, which I'm about to say is okay. First off, forgot about that. Must have had a great time at Smashbox.
You did. It was an
Greatest.
open bar.
The greatest.
This drives to my point. Was it in Venice?
Highlight
Or-
of a holiday party.
It was in
No, it was
Culver
at
City.
Yeah.
Bigfoot Lodge.
Yes,
Bigfoot
that's it,
West.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was when you met her?
Yes.
Yeah, because we were bonding over Lefroy and Top Shelf whiskey because it was open
Yes.
bar.
Okay,
Yes.
that goes
Yes.
to my point then, which
And
is
we have mutual friends. Howdy,
which is the
Guadalupe.
following. Well, I remember
Thank you, Lupe.
the Lupe.
meeting you on your birthday. Well, I guess meeting you for the second time on your birthday at Jumbo's, and like
My annual.
But like you
Very
like
annual.
immediately were like, hey, and okay, apparently you had met me before, but,
You acted like you knew me.
but you were like immediately you were like gave me a hug and you're like let's do shots and like granted you were having a good time,
It's-
but like
yeah.
you like. I don't know. You treated me immediately like, it was just so matter of fact. Like, we've just been friends for 15 years.
Oh, that's sweet.
And
Like we had met at Bigfoot
Yeah,
West.
like we had met
Perhaps
before.
a
Bonded
month, a few weeks prior, and had a grand old time together
but
with
apparently
mutual
not important
friends.
enough for Passmore to remember.
Yeah.
Shout out to our other sponsor.
Ding ding
I'm just gonna run through this.
Oh
All
my
right.
gosh, Jumbo should sponsor us. By the way.
100%.
Oh my God.
Every listener needs to go to
Shout out
Jumbo's.
to everyone.
I
needs
feel
to go to
Jumbo's is like that's a rite of passage
It
for
is
LA.
an institution.
Yeah,
It's one of the greatest places on the planet.
Yeah.
On the planet,
Yeah.
hands down. Wherever you've traveled, whatever burlesque bar or
Yeah.
anything of that nature you've been
not
to
come
doesn't
close.
come
Yeah.
close, doesn't hold a candle to
And
the-
listener, again, it's called. We have one listener, by the way.
Yeah.
Listener, it's
you.
called Jumbo's Clown Room. Do the math as to what happens in a place like that. Although it is not a strip bar.
It is not.
It is.
not.
It is a
much to
performance.
people's
Yeah.
surprise and our chagrin, clearly,
Yeah.
but it is not, and it's actually quite classy for as ridiculous and kitschy as it is.
Yeah, and it is ridiculous and kitschy.
It's amazing.
For sure.
It's amazing.
But
I
like,
can't praise it enough.
you were just so warm and wonderful, and you always have been. And we haven't hung out like 1,000 times, but in the time we have, it's. I mean, even just
been
sitting
great.
down now,
Yeah.
it just.
You invited me to your birthday,
I did. Yes.
also at a clown-ish place of
Two-Bit
sorts.
Circus.
Yeah.
At a circus.
But you're just so wonderful. I can imagine this is, okay, in addition to your amazing technical skills and apparently 1,000 different jobs, this must really, really help and endear clients to you, because who wouldn't want to work with this ball of sunshine right here? So my question is,
that's so
how did you get to be so awesome? And then follow up, then when did you decide to kind of go into this whole industry?
That's so sweet. I probably got awesome by offering my clients, alcohol at the end. Most shoots, but
That's good enough, by the way. That's plenty.
yeah, at the end usually if I produce and it's a good time, I do like to roll out some liquor. But it's that does help. That does endear you to people. Rule number
Yeah.
1 in the industry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been in it a long time, and I think I've never thought about how one thing led to another, because in some ways they're not really very related.
Did you get your start in photography? Did you get your start gripping?
Yeah, I got my college degree in advertising and in photography, and in my dumb graduate self, I thought, I'll try the photo side first, and if it doesn't work, the advertising can always be a
backup.
backup plan. I don't know why I thought that would work out.
Just get into advertising. I'll get into it.
It just walks in, and I can just
exactly.
walk right in, and I'll get
But
it.
when you're in school, that's
No
what
one's-
they don't teach you.
They don't
any
teach
of this
you.
in school.
Yeah, common sense is not a class. I somehow thought, let me try this, and if it fails, the advertising will be the clear choice of a desk job.
Yeah. Speaking of which, colleges, please teach your students better. I literally, when I was finishing up my program, they gave me the workbook. Do you guys remember the workbook?
No.
It was
No, what is that?
It just had a bunch of commercial advertisers, photographers, and they would put, one
Is it
or
like
two,
Le Book?
Like Le Book.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like
yeah.
any of those, any of the big,
Yes.
And it would have their
like
phone
commercial
numbers.
things and just
all commercial ones, and it had the photographer and a phone number and maybe a website. Granted, this book was from 19
I was gonna say this is a throwback way of getting jobs back in the day.
Yeah.
You could actually call studios or call photographers and be like, "Hi, I like your work. Can
I get a job?"
Can you hire me?"
And now you just slide in
Yeah.
the DMs
Yeah, but yeah, and
They're
I
like,
remember
delete.
that's the advice they gave the guy that ran our darkroom lab, gave me the book and was like, go through this, call every number, and get a job. And I was like, what is this? And it was
those good
they're
old days.
advertising, and I was like, why do I care about advertising? I'm an artist, bro.
Yeah.
I
I'm an
love it.
artiste.
I love it. Oh, the thought
That
process
easy.
that goes through a college student's mind. Yeah,
Indeed.
truly.
So-
You're like, I want to do better.
Yeah.
I don't need the commercial part of this.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I decided let me do that, and at the time I was working as a camera salesman. Rest in peace, Ritz Camera. But I was a Ritz Camera salesperson.
Where was this? What part of the country? was this?
In Orange County. I'm
Yeah.
a California native, so I grew up in Orange County and had amazing coworkers. Loved that job. Probably to date, still my favorite job I've ever had. We just messed around, and I learned how to print film photos there. Used the labs, the Fuji labs back then, and learned how to sell cameras, and I got salesperson of the month 2 months in a row.
Whoa,
no
congrats.
clue how I
Awesome.
did it. I literally just talked about cameras I liked. I didn't think about any of the commission parts of things, and I just was like, this is a great camera.
Did you give your customers alcohol after you made the sale? Because
I should
there's
have. I 100% should have been as a kickback. Buy this, and we're both doing shots.
Then we'll
right
go in the
now.
parking lot.
Just, in my trunk, I've got some lovely Courvoisier that's going to make it worth it for you. I 100% should have done that. That's a tip to kids.
Yeah.
Sell by doing an incentive.
Yeah,
An
incentive. Sell by incentive.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But
what,
yeah, that's
what
where
happened after Ritz?
I had some weird track off where I created a small clothing company for a little while.
Jesus, you have done everything.
I have done everything. Oh my god, if I
Wait,
could
so you
talk
went
about
cameras and then advertising?
Oh my god, I've done a little bit of everything. I was a salesperson. I once was the photographer for the Vintage Auto Racing Association. I've photographed. I was with Bob Knight Photos and photographed grads for a living. So when it became my turn to graduate, I got my grad photos for free because it was literally my coworkers shooting me
God,
during my walk up to the podium. Yeah, I've done a lot of crazy related, unrelated things.
So where's the timeline that goes up into production, digiteching?
When do you go truly pro?
Right. So what I had done in that whole interim, in between the clothing line, all those things, I had dabbled. I was a wedding photographer for 10 years, and I had done it in part by winding film for a Hasselblad photographer who was only a bar and bat mitzvah photographer, and I would show up, and I remember, for those of you who don't know because they're not watching this, I'm Asian. Well, no, you know, because it's 2.5 Asians.
It is 2.5 Asians.
I would show up, and they would be like, the Chang wedding is downstairs. I don't know what you're doing here at this bar mitzvah. But yeah, I would photograph these bar and bat mitzvahs.
And when did you all right, here's the device.
Yes, so I had done that for 10 years, and then once the advent of digital came around, and my clients started asking me, like, why would I pay you X thousands of dollars if Uncle Joe has the same camera as you? I realized that was the time when you were like, okay, it's a different era.
It's a different
People
realm
are,
things,
the digital thing has made it accessible to the masses. I'm not blaming that at all. It just was like having to explain myself and the credibility that comes with it, or the work that I can do versus, having that gear. It was difficult. So yeah, I spent one final year being a photographer for destination only weddings. I thought I'm just gonna go out with a bang and I'm only gonna do destination weddings. So I did that for a year, and then I finally was like, I'm done, and then went to LA and was like, let me try my hand at this. And I assisted very, very briefly for an amazing, amazing lighting tech named Eric Larson. He was so sweet. I had attended a lecture for, I can't remember if it was Art Streiber or some other amazing name in the industry, but Eric Larson was that photographer's first assistant. And when I went to go talk to the photographer, he was like, I love your gusto. Go talk to my first. He'll get you on some jobs.
Nice.
So I assisted for Eric Larson very briefly. And I am tiny. I'm like all of
Well, you're
100
Lil Kim.
pounds. Yeah, and 5 foot nothing. I'm probably like 4'11" now with, the age. But I remember we were working on a shoot, and he asked me to put up a 20 by with him, and my arms were shaking like jello as I tried to push up this like gigantic stand.
Yeah.
And he came to me after the shoot, and he was like, "What is it that you really want to do? Because
Yeah.
I don't think assisting is the life for you."
Yeah.
Shaking like a leaf throwing up a 20
he
by.
was like, "This is not for you."
That's cool though, because you got to learn. That was a crash course.
It was
in
a
tech.
crash course.
That's so cool.
He was so sweet, very patient. Let me just try to learn the ropes. And I remember once he was so nice about it. I saw the boys running, and they had like 4 sandbags at a time. And I was like, oh, I got to run at this pace. So I put 4 sandbags on my arm.
my God.
Literally my weight. That's 25 pounds a piece. I'm 105 pounds.
That's
and
your
I
weight.
remember trying to run with the 4 sandbags. And Eric Larson was like, you do not need to do this.
No.
You
Yeah.
got to like pace yourself. Don't kill yourself over
Yeah.
this. It's not worth it. He was a great, great mentor. And he asked me what I want to do. He was like, come to the next shoot. Look around at everybody. Pay attention to what they're doing, and you tell me what it is that strikes your fancy at the end. And I remember going, and it was a Progressive auto insurance commercial, and
Nice.
I saw this guy sitting there at the computer station, and I was like, "That's the job. That's the job I want to do." And I
Yeah.
came back to him, and he was
Nice.
like, "Where do you want to work?" And I was like, "I want to work at a studio, like Milk or something." And he's like, I'm gonna get you into Smashbox. So
Yeah.
I became a tech over at Smashbox.
You've been with Smashbox obviously, but you've been in with Smashbox that long.
Correct. It was so long ago, in fact, that it wasn't even the Smashbox in Culver City. It was a Smashbox in WeHo, which is now known as Coyote Studios in West Hollywood. It was a Smashbox when I started, and yeah, they took me in. I remember my first day, I walked in and they were like, oh, are you the new retoucher? And I look in at the room and it's 5 girls sitting at the table retouching. And I was like, actually, I'm with you, sweaty, smelly boys. Like, I'm the digitech. Like, but yeah, they were so great. They took me in and I learned about gear and I learned about like the whole system and the process.
Yeah, so for our listener who may be uninitiated, can you tell us exactly what a digital tech or digitech
Oh my God,
does?
I wonder if I'm qualified to even give
You
it,
are
even though
very
I've done it.
qualified for this
qualified. So what's it?
Yeah, I guess the way I like to explain it is you are in charge, just like your job, digital technician states, you are in charge of all the technical aspects. So the photographer can worry about all the creative, you know? You're the one who's checking to make sure the lights are firing, the picture is sharp, the color is correct, he's not chopping off a hand or a foot or something technical that's out of whack, so that the photographer can just focus on the creative part. You're watching all the other things. And in addition to that, you're making sure that you get the files and the assets out to the people that they need to be going to. You're basically the liaison between what happens on set to the final process, which means it goes to the retoucher or the client at that point. So you're the last set of eyes. You're the final line of defense, I say, that like you make sure that things look as they are. And you have to kind of be the gatekeeper of that too. So if the client comes back and they were like, remember that shot we did with the parrot, and where is that? You know, you have to remember where that file is, what happened to it. You know, you're very much the librarian, the keeper of that information.
Yeah, organizing the metadata specific to how the 100%. Photographer's workflow is, and it could change.
Correct.
You know,
file naming, asset delivery, naming, processing.
Yeah.
You know, you're the one who handles all of that. It's a very necessary part of the plan, but not a lot of people know that it exists.
Yeah.
The job is
which is I always tell like other photographers too. I was like, digitech and having the right one is very important, especially taking care of them when you're with them on set, because not only is that line of communication just as important as the first assistant, but that in the same token, you are the last line of defense. Like when you're shooting, you're not exactly seeing final image like while it comes out. So you could be catching blinks without knowing. You could be catching weird off shifts of things. I'm like, I used to remember when I was teching too. Like, you know, if you're running a set that has 7 lights going off and 1 light goes off, that's your job, is to like
alert people.
Like tell the first, like, let's go.
Or make sure you do plates. Get sure that you've got the backup so that the retoucher also has the correct components to do their job adequately. You know, you want to make sure that everyone's job is streamlined from one part to the next, because we all are working together to make one image. So,
and as an optic for the listener, like, so the photographer is shooting. There is a tether cord that connects his camera to the computer station. That's why she says computer station. And so you're watching the photos come in live. You got clients over your shoulder, making notes, marking things. So that's just kind of
the art director hovers by you.
And you could also tell a digitech when they wrap their cords in coil like that.
Tell the listener what you're looking at right now.
I can't help it.
Out of all of us right now, you can tell who the photographers are here right now, because this shit looks like we have no digitech here to help us. Our digitech.
Yeah, her microphone cord is very nicely.
I can't help it. I once got told by a photographer that he would hire me because I knew how to wrap cables correctly.
It's not
a big deal.
It's not to be underappreciated.
It's a big deal.
Hey crew, Shintani and I wanted to take a moment to thank you for listening. We actually tried recording a few of these spots or breaks last episode, but let's just say downing half a bottle of whiskey first does not help for coherent recordings. So for now, you just get my nasally drone. Setting aside our fledgling alcoholism, if you're enjoying I Shoot LA, please consider following the show. Following the show really helps that almighty algorithm so that others can discover us too. Please don't be shy with that 5-star rating, as again, every bit helps us. Finally, a reminder, you can always email the show with any questions you have under the bleaching hot LA sun about photography or the fashion industry here in our City of Angels. Don't have hands? Leave a voice message for the show and we'll play it on the air. Links to both in this episode's description. Alright, back to the show. So how long did you digitech for? You still kind of do it probably. Here and there.
So my first run, I would say, I wasn't really heavily involved in the digiteching, but while I was at Smashbox, I was more kind of a gear girl, and I would say it would be instrumental to what I was doing. But like learning how to pack jobs so that the digitechs can go out and have all the gear that they needed. I did that, I want to say for like 3 or 4 years, at Smashbox. But it was great. It was a great environment. You got to meet a ton of people, and I have producers that I knew then that I still work with now. And it was a great environment to be immersed in getting to see what all the components are of a photo shoot. So you were nearby a studio, and yet you were in the digital part of it, and it was great. Yeah, but I only sporadically did it then for a few years.
And then producing.
So yeah.
Right. So, oh my God, yes. And I get asked all the time the trajectory of my career. People are always asking me like, oh my God, how did you get to doing what you're doing? And I'm like, my story would definitely not work for you because it is a very weird roundabout way, but that should talk about the serendipity of this industry. A woman came into the studio and I recognized her name because she was running a photo class that I had been trying to save up to attend. It was called The Business of Photography. Her name's Lee Anderson. She's an incredible agent, and she's been my mentor the entire time. She walked into the studio to rent some gear, and I recognized her name, and I told her that I had been really like dying to be a part of her class, and that she was teaching an aspect that I thought was very undervalued. The business part of photography is so not talked about, in the industry, and that is so important. Understanding contracts, understanding how to read and write your rights, and all those things. That's, that's where your money really is going. Like, if you have a billboard and you've signed off your rights, you don't understand how to read a contract, you've just lost a ton of compensation. But she had walked into the studio that day, and I told her I would love to keep in touch, and we did. And one day she called me, and she just took a chance. She was like, I think you'd be an amazing agent. Would you quit your job and come work with me? And I did. I quit my job, and I went to become a junior agent under her. We were at Art Mix Creative, also rest in peace, but it was an incredible agency. I think they hit 25 years in the realm, and had some amazing artists in the meantime. And I was there during the latter years, but it was a really eye-opening experience, understanding all of the back-end process, not the creative part at all, understanding how to read contracts, write them, understanding how to talk to art directors and photo editors, and understanding how to negotiate and produce. That's what actually led me to producing. I was an agent, and I was okay at it. I that's probably tooting my horn too much. I wasn't very good at it. I didn't understand.
I find that hard to believe.
I think people, funnily enough, a lot of people only know me as an agent, and I would get calls after I quit being an agent. I got calls about asking me to come represent them, and I really appreciated that. But I knew I didn't like it as much as I thought I should. And during that time that I did it, I really hustled, and I think that's why people thought I could do it well. Right. I hustled really hard. I remember one day there was Lee sent me an artist we had just signed, and he was really young and I was young, and we were both nobodies in the industry, no clients, no nothing whatsoever. And she was like, find him people to get meetings with. And he was like, let's do this. And so I sent out no less than 100 emails that day. He said he was going to Boston for a meeting, and I was like, I'm gonna get you more meetings. So I sent out every single shoe company. I spent the entire day researching art directors and creative directors and anything I could. And I remember the funniest thing, this is the only imparted wisdom that I could give this podcast, is that I sent an email to so many people, even like underlings. I think it was like a graphic designer or something that I sent to Puma.
Roster.
I sent this email out, a PDF that I had made of this one artist, and I sent it to this graphic designer, and she, of all people, reached back out to me, and she was with Puma, and she was like, I love this kid's work. I'm gonna send it to my art director, and we're gonna get you a meeting. And it somehow traveled up the line, and he got a meeting with Puma and some art directors and creative directors based on this graphic designer. So never belittle somebody's job, because they're the ones who will read your email. Let's be honest. When you get too high up the line,
Did you bring that graphic designer alcohol.
Oh my God, 100% she was
send me
blown
your
out.
address, I'm sending you a gift package.
Maybe today I want to go back and thank that. Yeah, she was great. I never.
So as an agent, were you mainly repping photographers, or was it like kind of like art department does, like stylists and makeup artists and
Funnily enough, when I first got there, Art Mix, I was a hair and makeup and stylist rep because their rep had just left. So I somehow fell into that for a hot minute. And I apologize to all the artists that I've repped during that time because I literally had no clue what I was doing. But I tried my best, and I do know that I made some connections with some of them. But if I could go back now, I would do a much better job. I just didn't understand the realm of what I was getting myself into at that time.
So
but yes.
What led you to leave that industry?
Field. So I when I transitioned from being a stylist agent to a photo agent. I got let go actually, but the agency closed about a year or two after I left.
That's
so
they
were chopping. They were cutting some salaries, but I think I realized at that point that I really liked producing. So I told Lee, again, so instrumental to my growth. She was like, Walter Schupfer Management would be wonderful, and I know that they're hiring a producer because their producer is about to leave. He went to the client side. So so I interviewed and got in, and I've been producing ever since. I went to do a short stint over at Walter Schupfer. I wish I had gotten to stay longer, but they were also in a bit of a transitional phase, opening up a studio, a West Side location since they're New York based.
Yeah.
But it was tough. The agent I worked under also left after a year or two.
Is this
a year.
like early 2010s?
This was
Billy Kid's still there?
Who?
Walter? Billy Kid?
Billy Kid, yeah, he is still there.
Love Billy. Hi, Billy.
He was great. No, but New York based. Never got to work with him.
Yeah.
He left. He's wonderful. Jean-Marc Vlamenck. He like worked with me, and he went to Midnight Oil. So he went to the client side, and there was basically no agent for me to work under, and therefore I had to leave there too. Yeah. But I loved it. I wished so badly then and now that I could have stayed longer. It was a great experience. I loved it there.
So what happened next?
Then I kind of took a little hiatus, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I tried to think about going back into agenting. I went on a bunch of interviews, and giant artists, a bunch of other, what is that? There's I can't recall the name now, but it has like initials in it. But a bunch of agencies. I went to interview at a bunch of them, and I was like, no. In the end, I was like, I really don't want to be an agent. I do want to produce, but it wasn't a good time. I think I just didn't hit they weren't looking for producers at the time, which is how I lost my job to begin with. Like, it was an agent-heavy time. They wanted people to bring in money, not. I think, as a producer, you're spending money.
Did you notice that there was a shift, though? I feel like, I remember around the early 2010s, though, too. Like, there was a shift in agencies.
Correct.
Where there was like there was a weird market shift where there was a bunch of new agencies coming out. Kind of the same with modeling agencies in the last 5 years. But I feel like there was a bunch of agencies coming out. There was a lot of shifts in budgets that you were hearing through the rumor mill everywhere.
Yes.
And I feel like that's where it was, where a lot of agents were getting either let go or they're just making their own agency at some point.
Yes.
And it got really watered out.
It was kind of an exodus in a way. And I think a lot of the larger agencies who had a high overhead needed to find agents because they were like, the way to fix this problem is to bring in more money. And agents, in essence, the direct connect is that they bring in more money. I think as a producer, you do bring in money as well, but the job has to be there for you to bring in the money. It's a very back-end way of bringing money. If you present me with a $100,000 budget and I only spend $80,000 of it, or perhaps I spend and I skim, shush, this doesn't happen. But yes, there's a way for agencies to make money, but on the back end as a producer. It's just hard though, because we don't bring in the jobs. We just facilitate the money based on the jobs that are brought into us.
But I would also say, ask this though, when as a producer wise, do you run the budget, or do you try to be golden star under the budget?
Or does the budget run us?
Exactly.
I think it has to do with both. There are let me backtrack. I think that as a good producer, you always are looking at the bottom line. That's important. I think I can proudly say that I've never gone over in a sense unless there's been some sort of an emergency or something.
Like a beer run. You're like, oh, we need more rice
Something,
wine.
something major, unexpected, and unplanned for. But I know, I think a bunch of listeners might also say that as a producer, you're supposed to plan for the unpredictable.
We have one listener, so don't worry.
But another question too, and so there's a secondary to that though, is like, do you ever see I've ran into this issue with just clients, but do you ever run into the issue where like if you do run under, they expect the under?
Correct, that's true. It's if anybody watches The Office out there, it's about like the lemonade stand and overages. But yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. You have to toe the line between getting enough money that you can safely produce with, and also trying to do a good enough job where you're like, look at this, I did X amount under, It's a very proud moment. But I also have hit budgets like right in the head, like right on the nose, like I think as long as you're not going over, they're fine. But as a producer, you're constantly also juggling the fact that you're like on your second or third estimate where you're like, cut it more, cut it more, cut it more.
Yeah.
I worked on a job recently. I even didn't get the job, which is crazy, but I bidded on a job and they asked me to jump crazy hoops. Like they would give me a budget and they were like, it's 8 looks for X amount of dollars. And then they were like, oh, sorry, actually, it's the same budget, but triple the amount of looks, like 25 looks.
Isn't that how they always do it, though?
Right, and you're like, get it done. And then they came back at me on the third run after I had already met that, and they were like, oh, we also need you to do COVID testing for the same rate with that amount of looks, no extra budget. And I still came in correctly in that budget, and then I lost the job.
Son of a gun.
What's crazy is because you know what, someone came under you, and this is the one thing that it bugs me so much to see how the industry has shifted into that direction where clients now control production. Where I was like, it's because of fast fashion, because of all these new companies coming out. I don't know if you've noticed this, but like,
yes,
clients now are trying to dictate your job as a producer, which is what your expertise is. And so they're like, well, we should be able to make this work for this amount of money because when we just started, that's what we made happen with our buddies in the garage of a place, right? And I'm like, well, yeah, no, if you still want garage images, rock and roll, but like
trying to elevate the game here.
You're asking for full production now, and this is what we do.
This is definitely felt across all genres.
But I think that's your job as the liaison to like describe to them what it's going to. I'm not burning your money like in some pit somewhere. I'm literally being like, hi, these people need to eat. Like maybe you were serving them bagels before, but that does not create a happy crew. You need some sustainability. You need, if you were working a 10, 12-hour day on bagels, how would you feel?
It's like the pizza jobs.
100%.
I don't know if you guys ever remember.
It's like pizza and Subway, of course. That's how I paid my crew, in my humble beginnings, but that was Model Mayhem days.
Well, no, when it's coming out of budget, when it's coming out of your own pocket, and it's like, yourself doing something completely understandable because you're budgeting. But like, when you have a client that's worth, I don't know, $100 million, and they're like, hey, so we brought pizza for you guys today. I'm like, no. I was like, not like, I remember I had a client who legitimately was like a pizza client. And when I first came in, they were like, oh, here's what we're gonna order. And I was like, no. And we had this whole discussion where like, well, it's not in budget. I was like, we're shooting swim. You need to have salads and healthier options. Because not only am I retouching this, but like I'm like, girls get oily after they eat. I'm like humans just get oily after you eat pizza.
Bloated.
You get bloated, you get tired, there's bags under the eyes. It's not like aesthetically positive for you as a brand.
And we're here because of this, for this.
Yes.
Just for today.
Help us help you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the other thing too. I don't know, like I always try to project this with clients, but I say, it's a one-day shoot. Like this is what we've saved for. So
what I don't get is, like you said, like these companies are millions and millions of dollars, and it's like, okay, just have your CEO not eat out lunch one day this week, and it will cover everything. But they can't do that, and it's so maddening.
A lot of politics.
Oh my god,
seriously.
A lot of politics involved.
Side story, but I can tell it later.
What? No, tell the story.
No, I'll have to censor it probably. He'll be like, no.
Well, you don't have to. I hate this client of mine. I definitely don't work with anymore. And if anyone ever asks me about it, I always say no. I would say, do not work with them.
Name that client.
We'll not name them for a
okay, well, then what's the story?
Give us the goods. Give us the goods.
They owed owed me for the job,
Okay.
you know, and it was a low cut rate. I just wanted the client for the client, like for
The name.
genre of the client. We were behind. They were behind 3 months, and I was like, "Hey, we're coming into the end of the year. I need to file taxes, so you need to pay me." And I saw him during the holidays traveling first class private jet back and forth to Europe.
You knew this for a
Yeah.
fact.
I was on the
my.
gram and I was like, wow, okay, that's cool. Casual. And I was like, so I, you know, continued touch base. And then at some point I was just like, all right, we have to go to we have to go to litigation for this because like, this is insane. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm watching you literally like shit on me
Yes.
publicly
Yes,
while you
yes.
owe me money. I was
Yes.
like, you can literally just fly business class instead of first class or private
One day.
and just give me my rate.
Yes.
Like, it wasn't even a lot.
I think we all have these stories. I
Yeah.
currently am sitting on a job, I'm talking like 5 years ago, that the client, a photographer I worked with, owes me money. And I don't, for the
I'll pay you,
listeners,
don't worry.
That's why she came here.
give me my money.
She finally got you.
There's
She finally
a
got you.
photographer I worked for once. Yeah, not sitting here. But yeah, we all have these stories. And he not only had the audacity to not pay me, but asked me to rent gear on my dime.
Yeah.
Because he had sullied his reputation with them, and yeah, so now I'm out my own money for gear rentals, and I'm out my rate, and you know, we're still, I don't know, I want to be in good terms with him, but we all,
Yeah.
for those listeners or the listener, we have, we get paid on net 30. I don't know if they know that, but yeah, we do the work and we don't get paid for it. We
Adjust
just
to
invoice
net
and wait.
25.
God,
I'm actually on a client right
tough.
now. I shot it back in October. They're based outside the United States, though. I paid, obviously, like my crew, which I have not been able to pay yet. I paid out of pocket $500 just to get a space so we can prep on the boardwalk. And it is
Waiting.
everything
Waiting,
there.
waiting.
Oh, there's a problem with our accounting department. There's a problem with our bank.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now they stop responding.
Yep.
It's the craziest thing sometimes.
Par
like,
for
you
the
know,
course.
because
Everyone
like
has a story.
Yeah,
Everyone.
yeah.
So, Kim, you're now, sorry, Lil Kim. I'm
Sorry.
sorry, I didn't use your preferred nomenclature. Little Kim. So you're freelance now. With it, still can probably, do you still tech a bit?
So
here and there?
so I kind of split my time. I would say maybe a little bit more 60, 70, 74, 60, 40, 70, 30, something like that. But I tech a lot now. I think I found like a renewed interest in it. It's exciting. I have massive OCD. So it really...
Really? I wouldn't know by the mountains of gear you brought.
the fact that you've coiled your... I love it. I think it kind of exercises it turns my bad... I don't know, people could look on OCD as a bad habit, but yeah, it turns that thing into
Something productive.
into something that's useful. So it's really fun. I've been working on really exciting jobs, things that I'm so proud to be a part of, lots of amazing celebrities and stuff that I think the reason I got into this career was to try to have those insider stories. I think people were really into it for the fame and the glam, whatever. I'm not really into any of that. I don't even have social media, but I love the insider stories about people who are really just people, but have a life that's so different from mine. And I would love to see how it affects them. You get to see such a varied insider part of this, understanding those celebrities who acknowledge you and treat you as a part of a team, or those who don't, and the crazy drama that I get to use the stories for years about. All of that to me.
You'll be
is
telling
the most,
many stories in just a few minutes.
It's so cool. Everyone always asks you name somebody who's not cool, or name somebody who's nice. That's the fun part to me. That's the whole reason for this whole thing.
It's a different experience
Yes.
every time you're on set.
She's a hit at dinners. That's why we like her.
She is.
For so many reasons.
Parting advice for those, either one, for those aspiring digitechs or those aspiring producers. Real quick, what's the log line advice?
That's a really good question. I think a big thing that I'm trying to do, I actually need to that reminded me that I need to reach out to some people, but I always
She's always working. It's Saturday.
Yeah, that just reminded me. I do always recognize PAs and people who are at the bottom of the totem pole, because I do remember not so very long ago when I was in the same, we call them green positions, but green hardworking hustlers who really just, the one thing you can't be taught, I would say this is the best advice. The one thing you can't be taught is hardworking, predictability. Predicting other people's needs is huge. When I see someone on set who's very willing and able and running to try to we're running out of ice, or the trash bag is full. I need to get a new trash bag. Somebody who's
before you
predicting
even say that,
needs.
Yeah, just trash bag's full, and then it
needs to already have been changed.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Before I come to you and tell you hey, do these things, you've already had the foresight to predict that perhaps this is something that I'm going to ask you to do. I can't teach that, and that is a big lookout for me. Whenever I notice somebody on set who's hustling, who has the intuitiveness to think of those things, or even if you don't have the insight to know that, then I appreciate those who come to me and say, what would you like me to do next? You can't teach somebody the ability to want to, the drive. Drive is huge. You can't teach somebody that, and that to me is the biggest thing I look out for. In fact, there was a wonderful girl at Pier 59 in New York, and I was a producer for a shoot out there, and I remembered that I had a very big issue getting FedEx and Amazon packages in. There was some huge hoopla, and I remember most of the people at the front desk were just real blasé about the whole thing. Didn't care. Didn't I don't know how to help you. But that one girl was like, let me get on this, and she and I are still keeping in touch right now. She's moving out to LA, wants to work with me, and she reached out via email. I'm gonna go back to her, but she sticks out in your mind. You cannot teach that amount of gung-ho desire in people, and that's what this industry needs. You have to have drive. There's no other way to get through this. That's the thing that you notice. If you don't have the experience, you better have the hustle. And gotta have the hustle.
Do you ever get tired of being asked too many times? Because I don't. I tell, for myself at least, with assisting PAs and stuff like that, I'm always they're oh, I feel like I reach out too much. And I'm there's no such thing. Yeah. For me at least, I'm I will forget. I just genuinely will forget.
So I have been doing this for over 10 years now, and almost every month I get some random email or some random DM from some young kid saying, hey, I would love to come assist you.
Right.
The typical thing. Yeah, and 99% of them come once, never hear from them again.
Yep.
Correct.
Or my favorite one recently, and it's this effing generation. It's Thursdays doesn't work for me. I'm I just delete it. I'm whatever parent empowered this bullshit.
Yes.
It's only failing you.
Yes.
Probably the one who stands out most, Cooper Norland.
Shout out Cooper.
Cooper, what's up, buddy? He was what do I need to do? Everything. What can I get for you? What can I do? How can I be there? I will change. I will call into work just to come assist on your free test shoot. And now, he's campaign photographer at Boot Bar, and and all their million other brands. And he's
doing great
probably
things.
He's amazing.
That's what you need.
Yeah, he's better than me.
That's what you need.
He's better than all of us.
I really love what you said, Lil Kim.
You know what the best thing about Lil Kim is? When you go within the industry wise, every single
It's
person.
so true.
Everybody
It's
knows
funny.
You walk into a grip room, a studio party, anything industry wise, and they go, yeah. So who else do you know? You go, Lil Kim.
Yeah. It's
That's the badge of respect.
That is.
All right.
That's
you know good people.
Yeah. Indeed. But growing up.
The name to drop, guys.
exactly.
Everybody.
That's how you get in the
It's a name to
parties.
drop.
Yeah.
It's a name to drop.
So my father growing up would always be very upset at me with the way I didn't do my chores. And which is to say, I'm just tell me what to do.
Right.
You want me to mow the lawn? Then say you want me to mow the lawn. I will mow the lawn. And my mom took me aside, 9, 10, for several years. She had to say, it's he doesn't want to have to ask.
Yes.
It's Saturday.
Yes.
Every Saturday the lawn gets mowed.
Yes.
He wants to just all of a sudden look out the window and you're mowing the lawn. He wants you to anticipate, because you live in this house. You know the things that need to be done by now, and you're not 5 anymore.
Yep.
You need to just do them. And it took me a minute.
Yes.
because I was kind of, imperious. So, like, just tell me what to do. I'm happy to do it. I want to contribute. Obviously, I need to earn my keep.
I'm glad you were happy to do it.
Yeah.
I was not.
But like,
that's only half of the the equation.
But I'm like, you have to tell me to do it, and they're like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
And that took so long to sink in, and
Ever since.
So I love that you said that, because that hits home particular with me, because I didn't get it. I was like, well, just tell me. It's like, oh, that's not the point.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, I could tell you,
Yeah.
but the other half of the equation is you could figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
Well, especially for this industry, I mean, it's a by job industry. So it's like,
True.
if you aren't trying to work,
Yes.
you're not going to work.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are other people.
Yeah.
Everyone. This is kind of a highly desirable
Dog eat
industry.
dog, man.
Yeah.
It's dirty. But I think in also saying that, I'd like to bring back my mentor Lee again. And I remember we were talking about a client in particular and how they were kind of like biting at each other. Like, it can be ruthless here. And she also said something that I've always gone back to, which is that there's enough work for everybody, and that's huge.
Sure.
Like,
yes.
Don't ever do something that makes life is too short, and this industry is so incestuous that will bite you in the butt. Don't cut corners, don't burn people, like burn bridges, whatever it is.
Don't gatekeep.
Like, there is enough work for everybody out there,
Really
and
is.
we can all thrive and push each other up, women in particular. Like, there is enough work for all. We do not have to be petty and hurt each other for that. It's not worth it.
Ironically, I got
so
the
much work.
exact same advice years ago in the same context where we were talking about, because it was a switch into digital age.
Yes.
And I remember everyone was so worried. They were like, oh my God, it's so heavily saturated now. And I remember the head producer was like, the pie is so big at this table that if you aren't getting a slice of the pie, you're not asking right.
Yeah.
Precisely.
You're the
Or
problem.
you're sitting at the wrong table.
You're not hungry enough
You're
not
for the
hungry.
pie.
For the pie.
You guys, you see how we did that?
Full circle. Full pie circle.
Two
But I remember,
variations.
and I agree. I think there is a very, very solid level of acknowledgement to that, where it's like, like there is so much money in here that if you aren't getting this,
if you're sitting home complaining about there not being enough work or you're not getting it, you need to look at small, obscure brands. If you're a nobody and you are aiming for Vogue, you need to look at some small industry, local label, and you work yourself up from there. 100%.
Yeah.
sick.
Vogue Arabia. Vogue Arabia.
We-
Shout
we-
out.
we-
Speaking of
love
our
you.
other sponsor,
Crew, Lucas again. Did you know I Shoot LA is also on YouTube? There you can listen to the show while also viewing work from myself, Shintani, and whomever our guest is. It's great for playing on your second monitor while you endlessly retouch those elbows, knees, stray hairs, and that dirty, dirty white psych. Seriously, why is every studio in LA constantly out of psych shoes? Someone's really got to talk to someone, otherwise that poor stylist assistant's just going to spend all day taping souls. Anyway, check us out on YouTube. The link is in this episode's description. And when you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, now back to the show. All right, guys, is it time for Questions Corner?
Questions
Corner.
Questions Corner.
I like
Kim's Question Corner.
I like that Lil Kim's here, both as a producer and as a former agent. You have a lot of insight into this. So, guys, here's the first one. How often should I be updating my portfolio or website?
Oh, that's a very good
Lil
question.
Kim, as an agent and a producer, former agent, but
That's a good question. I think people who have been doing it a long time, the thing that I've noticed is one of two things happens. When you go on someone's website and the work is dated, it's either that they're working too much and they don't have the need or have the time
That's me,
to
by the way.
update their to update their site, or they're trying to ride that happy
That's
time
me.
curtain forever. I shot this one celebrity, Julia Roberts, 1998. I'm gonna ride that forever. I think it's important to be very biased about your work. I think it's really hard as an agent when I think that was the biggest eye-opening thing when I was doing portfolio reviews with Lee. I would notice she would talk about, real ruthless about it, but like, this is old. This is old. I can tell this was like 2002. Like, she would cut stuff real ruthlessly. But the point of the matter is, the art directors are probably worse. They're looking at your work and they're like, love Charlize Theron, but this is Charlize Theron circa, I don't know, like when she was a newbie.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know, the work gets dated really fast. Not only just for the celebrity themselves, but the style. The
fashion,
work continually evolves. The look continually evolves. They can very easily tell when it's old. So I think you have to be very, very, just have a good eye about that. And don't be afraid. Ask people whose opinion you trust, not people you just support, because people who support will just tell you that it's good. But I think people will someone who give you constructive criticism is really important. I've had to do the same for my girlfriend. She's a retoucher, and
Hi, Morgan.
Hi, Morgan.
Hey, Morgan.
She does amazing work, but if we're trying to elevate the kind of work that you do, you have to be harsh about it. And I think it's not in, like criticism of the work itself. It's that your work has evolved, and therefore the work that's displayed needs to evolve with it. You've gotten better, so don't show the old stuff. Don't hold it sentimentally. You have to have less emotions about the work itself. You have to be very critical in a very emotional way about the work. That's hard. But as an agent, I learned that it's really difficult.
I'm terrible to answer this question because I've not updated my website in 2.5 years. So it sounds like I'm taking Lil Kim out for a dinner and drinks, and then she will sit down and be fucking honest.
I did that already once with her.
Tore
the book
Tore it apart.
Oh, no.
I think, I've lost friends that way.
But see, you know what's weird? You can't. As someone who's asking for advice, if you take it personally and not professionally, that's your own.
Don't hold it precious.
Yes.
I'm not criticizing the work. I'm not saying that it's bad, whatever it is, I'm just saying that this now, not relevant in a way that is useful to whatever the trajectory you're asking me about is what I'm going to base it off of. If you're saying that I want to do commercial work, I'm like, meh, this is not useful. I don't need this, That's what's important. But I also have met a ton of photographers that I've appreciated who do so much work that they're continually updating their website. That's another thing that I've noticed, Some people just shoot a lot of work, whether it's paid or not, and they are just creative in general, and they're constantly updating their website. I think that's kind of a new era that I've noticed and appreciated. For those people who do that, they just need to be concise about the work and delete the things that are no longer relevant. So I don't want to be scrolling through 45 images. The thing I like to say is, if I didn't see it in the first 10, I'm not going to see it in the next 30. So if I don't like it in that first 10 shots of that one portfolio or shoot that you did, I'm not going to like it in 50 shots. You know, put your best 10 at front. Done. That's it. If I like it in that 10, that's what I'm going to like.
Jesus.
I go by first.
We should TED Talks this. This is amazing.
It's huge. It's very, very important.
I believe in the same idea where it's I think when I look at someone's work, or just even a model's portfolio, it's the first
on
scroll.
and on.
Oh, sure,
If the first scroll is interesting, I'm
interesting.
next.
I'm done.
The first four and maybe six, and then I stop looking.
The best way I can say it is think about the TikToks and the Instagrams of this world, stories.
Yeah.
If you haven't captured it in 30 seconds, they're moving on.
Yeah,
let's be
exactly.
honest, as an agent or as an art director or a photo editor, if I haven't seen it in 30 seconds, I'm moving on. It's the same thing from social media that applies to portfolios. We cannot afford the time.
God, dude, we should start charging for this podcast.
This advice.
Is fucking amazing.
It's huge.
On that, and I know you're not on social media, Lil Kim, but nonetheless, you must consume it in order to, because you live in 2022.
Yes, look me up. It's #TinyKim or #KimTran. You'll find me among a bunch of other things, including cats.
So this question is: how important is it to be ultra active on Instagram or social media when trying to build your brand, or you're just starting out?
Totally. I think another thing I learned as an agent is it is important to separate your personal and your professional. If you are a working artist and you want to attract clients, nobody is looking for drunk pictures of you on a Saturday night commenting on some new television show. No, you need to separate, make a, Kim Tran photo, Kim Tran art, whatever it is, make a separate Instagram that is purely about the work itself. It can just be about the work, it can be about you on set, things that are relevant to the industry itself, and then your personal should be on a separate. That's probably the best advice I'd have. Yeah, you can make it private, yes, and don't think that those art directors are not looking you up. It is happening. They are looking, because you, in essence, are representing the brand. Even if your name is not directly related, people will find a way. There's credits, things like that. People, you can't afford it these days.
Oh, I agree. That's why. No, I mean that's why. Like I feel like my Instagram is total horseshit. I've heard this from several people, and
I need to do, because I've had Instagram since Instagram started, and it goes back 100 years, and I want to do that thing where it's just
clean out.
Maybe 12 total. Like when you scroll, you can scroll to the bottom, like where it's just like the latest thing.
Oh, that's a commitment.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because there's a lot of good memories too.
I don't know. I think separating it is a better way to do that.
Also, too, like my Instagram is Shintani. Like,
yeah.
I can't get.
It's fine.
It is tough.
I think also in essence of that, like as long as you don't have really incriminating things on it, as an agent, I also realized that a lot of clients want to see personality.
Yes.
They don't want the same, curated, processed out images and like TikToks or whatever it is. They don't want that. They also want to see a little bit of you in it, because really that's what they're hiring. Even if the most rigid of clients who are hiring you for the most controlled projects in advertising, where in essence you might just be a button pusher, they still want to know that the person they're hiring is cool or interesting or has an opinion or is vocal about something or has a point of view. Like they all want that. So I think it's important to also show a side of you that's relevant and interesting and different than others. Just make sure that it doesn't hurt you in the end.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree. Yeah, because I mean, it's the same thing as like if a client was like, "Hey, do we want to bring this person on to the Bahamas for 7 days,
precisely,
and be with them for 7 days, or like what are we looking at right now?" You know, there's multiple dimensions to that factoring in. But
make it look good, guys. Make it look good.
So the next question is, can you discuss or give any tips on pitching to clients? And I think this is from probably talking from someone who's not necessarily ready for an agent yet, but he's not also trying to pitch to Nike.
Newer.
So like maybe a smaller photographer trying to pitch to a smaller brand.
Well, in assuming that this person has already worked in the industry, they must have connects. Mm-hmm. So either I would say you would hire somebody like me or a Lee Anderson or something Lee Anderson, by the way, look her up, Anderson with an E. She offers consultation. So this is great for somebody who's looking for a portfolio review, somebody who's looking for guidance, perhaps a long-term plan that can help guide you in that way without being repped in percent. But she gives you the same sort of consultation and like guidance as a rep would. You can pay for that. So that's one route that you can take. Save up. I would say if you're doing a few jobs, save up 10% of your jobs every day, and you'll be able to afford her to be able to do something like that. Do a long-term projection for you. She can help write form emails for you. She can help put your name. Help you in the lingo. I mean, it's the whole reason she taught this business of photography class. Like the lingo of how to get around what art directors want to hear. And I say that because as an agent, I would get hundreds, obviously, of submissions to our form mail that were about, hey, can you, I would love to sign with you. And I cannot tell you how many times, I cannot tell you how many times I got emails that were written to the wrong agency, wrong person, horribly written, spell check city, very, very poorly written. I think that's one red flag. But the other thing is too long. You don't want to make it too long. You want to make the sentence no more than, the whole email, excuse me. It shouldn't be longer than 5 sentences. 5 standard, intermediate length sentences. And they should be very concise. It's here's my new work. Would love you to take a look at it. I'd love to talk more. Like very, very concise emails regarding the work itself. Like that's it. If they're interested, they will find a way of getting in touch with you. If you want to write back, you can write back once, not more than that. I think that's really important. Do not bombard their email, but also don't leave them hanging. You know, some people are really, really busy. A lot of times the squeaky wheel gets the oil. I would forget about an artist that had sent me an email or something like that, and when they hit back the second time, possibly the third time, I would write back. But if you don't hear more than that, you know, be smart about that. Don't harass them. That's a good rule of thumb. You can get on people's bad side really easily that way.
So it sounds like save up a little money, consult.
Consultation is 100% the best way.
Very cool. Shintani, do you have any tips on pitching clients at kind of, I'm assuming a little bit of a lower levels?
Whenever you email them, make it a new email.
Yeah.
Never tag back on to
true.
the same old email.
Great
I've seen
email.
that before. I mean, even with like models or anyone that like tries to work with you at some point. If you do it like that at some point, not to say that maybe the first email was just like terribly written. So at that point, you already have that stuck in your head. So if you're just like adding on to that, it doesn't really add anything to a benefit because you're just existing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's the only thing I'd say. But
Nice. Yeah. I think I agree. Part of what Lil Kim says, like squeaky wheel gets the oil. That's how it is with me. As far as like I mentioned earlier, just people who want to come and hang out and help out. But also, maybe I'm an old person. Spell check, use grammar. Your is not you are. Sorry, Generation X. I don't care.
Also, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Be professional.
Please address
Be professional.
the person you're talking to.
Yeah.
I can't stress this enough. Actually, where like I get so many emails and DMs where it goes, "Hey,
Yeah.
blah 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 blah," and I go, "Stop
No.
copying and pasting. Like
Yes.
at least if you're gonna copy and paste, at least write my name.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
give me that respect
Yes.
because that is terribly unprofessional.
Yes.
Yeah. I just the professionalism is really eroding and
Yes.
like the,
Yes, and another thing, if I'm going to talk about that, like if you're trying to
You have three old
send
assholes at this table right now. This is where we're going.
2.5 Asians, 3 assholes.
so true. It's so true. If you're gonna send a submission to an agency that only hires fashion photographers or something like that, do not submit a entertainment portfolio. Like,
Yeah.
make the work relevant to the company you are pushing. Like, if you are sending
do
a
homework.
bunch of if you are sending a bunch of photographs to a fashion company and it's all like some sort of shoes and it's the company you're sending to is dresses.
Yeah.
That's not going to fly. The
Yeah.
work is not
Yeah.
relevant to the work that you're sending to. Please make it, concise and deliverable to the company you're sending it to.
And listener, this may sound obvious, but obviously we're saying this for a reason because apparently it's not obvious.
yes, it's
All right,
so
guys.
hard.
Last question before we get out of here. It just says permits for LA shoots? Question mark.
Oh dear God.
Yeah. So first off, legally, let's just say this. Legally, permits are required for shooting commercially in Los Angeles on public
it's
property.
For shooting in Los Angeles. Shit, you'll get popped if
Yeah,
it's
Yeah,
it's
fair
much
enough.
worse.
Yeah, shooting period. We advise here at I Shoot LA to
to
always
shoot in New York. I'm just,
Yeah, that's literally what I was thinking. Go fly to New York.
Yeah.
If you don't want to spend the money on the permit, fly to New York.
Yeah, just don't put a tripod. Is it a tripod?
tripod.
Don't
It
put a
sticks.
tripod
Sticks
down.
on the
Don't
ground.
put
Sticks on the
sticks
ground.
down on the
ground.
New York sidewalk, and you're fine.
Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, here it's horrendous.
Well, it's Hollywood.
Unfortunately,
It's Hollywood.
we live in La La Land,
Yeah.
and La La Land comes with restrictions.
well, it's not. But that's the thing. It's not that expensive. If
It's not.
If it's like very
you
small.
need to know who and where and when. Like, I think it's
Yes.
important for you to like educate yourself about that. LA Film is basically
Yes.
the reigning king of all things out here, and
LA Film's a website.
LA Films, yes. You need to just
handle
reach
so many
out. The
permits.
biggest
Yeah.
advice in that sense is time. You have to give them time. So,
Yeah.
if you know your shoot is on Friday, you need to have reached out by Tuesday. You are screwed
least. I was
at
gonna
the
say,
minimum.
the minimum.
At
You
least.
have to reach out
Yeah.
3 to 4 days in
Yes.
advance. That is the biggest thing. Now, if you are in the, oh shit problem of having your shoot done too late, then your other way around it is to going to Peer Space or any of the other websites that are available and shooting at a private entity where they do not require permits. Look, the point is time or money, right, guys?
Yep.
You either spend the time and do it, or you spend the money and do it. It's one of two ways.
Yep.
So
You're either going to pay for it or you do it right.
correct.
Like,
And to those who think they can get away with it, I have also produced a shoot where I recall telling the photographer I had gridded out. So a grid permit is where you tell Film LA that you are going to be in from this street to this street. You draw out a map for them, and you're allowed to walk within that grid and shoot anywhere within that grid. And they, for some reason, wanted to go outside of that grid, I think one street over. And we, of course, got stopped by a cop, and they asked us for our permit, and the permit did not cover that one street over, and we got fined. So you guys don't think it doesn't happen. It does happen. And in essence of that, there are many times when I've had shoots, and I very proudly displayed my permit. Hey guys, want to look at my permits? Cops walking by, they don't care at all.
Yeah, it's the one time you don't.
The one time you don't have it is the one time they will ask you. So yes, be very alert and aware because it does happen out here, especially in Los Angeles.
This was the client too. Like I feel like I've had the same issue with clients where like they, in the same aspect of not hiring proper producers in and stuff like that, you are running producer, and they're like, well, what's the big deal? And I'm like, well, you can pay for it, it's fine. I was like, at this point, like that's my advice I give photographers who do have clients that do that, where I'm like, yeah, if they are going to at least be upfront about the consequences. Like, I've gotten enough tickets within my career of shooting where it's like, okay, now we just do it right. Like, there's no point to not doing it right. And if you don't understand why, it's because my wallet gets a lot lighter every single time that happens. So
the permit does not cost that much, guys.
It does not.
It does not cost
that
much.
So if you're doing a production that you already know ahead of time,
anything over 2 people.
Just
honestly,
do it.
If you are walking around and you can somehow finagle your way into talking that it's just a fun shoot for fun,
with your $4,000 camera.
But even outside of that context,
it's impossible.
Like if you're at El Matador,
I was gonna say El Matador.
If you're at Joshua,
Leo
Tree,
Carrillo,
any
I'm like, you're at these other
obvious spot,
spots,
you're gonna get in trouble.
There will be someone coming up to you.
If you, and like. Each municipality and city has their own set of restrictions, just so you know, like Venice Beach and Santa Monica run
Venice
on
Beach
their
is a
own.
nightmare.
Yes, Venice Beach, Abbot Kinney, they all run on their own thing.
Santa Monica because
correct.
It's so much more
It's so much easier. Yes, Santa Monica runs on its own thing as well. They all have their own set of rules. Hollywood itself, downtown, the Bank District has its own set of rules. They all have their own set of rules, so you do need to do your research.
That's the one nice thing about Film LA.
Correct. They're very nice. They're very patient about it. And look, insider's tip, if you don't have the time and energy to go through Film LA and you don't know how to do it, even I as a producer sometimes do not know how all the intricacies of it all, there are companies you can pay to get the permit for you. They charge within... Correct.
It's a fat fee on top of that.
Yes, it's a fat fee. That's true. There are permit pulling companies that have ins with Film LA. They expedite your permit. You do have to pay a fat fee, hundreds of dollars, but if you're in a pinch, I've used them many times myself, and it's highly recommended. You can get them, and they're on basically speed dial with Film LA. They will expedite your permit, and you can get your permit in time if you don't think it's enough. But get your client to pay for it. It's important.
The point is like do it right, and this is really more for clients. Clients just it's
convince your
if
clients.
You're already spending. I can't tell you how many times I've had this conversation because you're right, Shintani. Be upfront. Like okay, if we get stopped, I ain't paying for this. Be upfront. Like this isn't like the 90s anymore, and this isn't the early 2000s. Everyone's a photographer, everyone's running productions, so that means there's more. It's like it's parking enforcement now, but for film permits, especially on the beaches. Especially on the beaches.
Yes.
Oh, I was on a shoot one time at a beach where like the client literally, I was like, we did have permits, and I told them to, and we didn't have permits, and the lifeguard started trying to peek.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm gonna guarantee in about 15 minutes, cops are gonna pull up. And cops pulled up. And she was like, let's hide.
We should hide. Let's hide in the ocean.
No.
But clients, especially clients who are listening, it's like you spend the money to hire me, you spend the money to hire the model, you're paying the agency fees, like spend the extra couple hundred, and then don't shut down your multi-$1,000, tens of thousands of dollars. Shoot.
Well, this goes back to that whole production budget conversation where I'm like, there's a fine line where I'll like, even going over budget where I explain to clients, I'm like, they're like, well, it's over budget.
for the shoot, right? Like we're already putting in 30,000 into the shoot. We don't want to spend any more than that.
Yeah.
And I go, well, for an extra $300,
Precisely.
You can insure your $30,000 budget.
Doesn't
because
get shut down.
you're already skeleton crewing us on your budgets.
Pizza,
So like
with pizza too.
Yeah.
with pizza,
Subway
right?
sandwiches.
Yeah, and it's like because what I and this is for listeners too. I don't know, like budgets, production budgets are not just your rate. I'm like you are considering the idea where, and this is why I also explained it to like photographers that are new and assistants that are like coming into the game. Where I was like, your job is relatively just as important as anything else that goes into it. So I was like, that's why as a freelance base, it's so important to do your job well. Always. I was like, because we don't have the room for error, because if you screw up, you can't come in the next day and say, well, let's just do it again.
Yes.
Because that budget, that production you just screwed over by setting something on fire or like some catastrophe of some sort happening, or a client saying like, well, we're gonna give you pizza instead, or not getting a permit and your shoot gets shut down, you just wasted $30,000, $80,000, $150,000, $1 million for $300.
Totally.
And that's why I'm like, there's no point to it. Like
It's apathy. It's because they don't want to. It's literally that producer saying no because they don't want to have to send 4 emails.
Yeah.
That's it. Because they want to go home and watch and binge,
Yeah.
Game of Thrones or whatever. Wow.
Euphoria.
I was going to say, did I just date this pod Game of Thrones? Like,
Euphoria.
Euphoria season
Let's go
2.
I was
Euphoria.
gonna say Seinfeld, but it's,
Yes. Guys, this has been super fun. Thank you so much. And listener, I just want you to know, Lil Kim, we did not even get into or scratch the surface of being a woman.
Oh my
And-
God.
Yeah.
A whole other podcast.
It's a whole other podcast, so please,
I would
please.
love to come
There'll
back.
be
I
a
want
part
to
2.
know.
I would love to
yeah,
come back.
for part 2. I know.
Yeah.
Good
That's
your
so
plan.
cool. Good your blood.
It's a good little bit.
I would love to. Yeah, I would love to
And-
come back.
We'll just let you talk.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. There's
Yeah.
a whole host of women who work in this industry who are very. We're getting our due diligence now and coming up and doing things, but it's that's a whole other topic. Hopefully for another day.
Yeah.
I would love to come back.
And so until next time, this is Lucas Passmore for Christopher Shintani.
Shin shin.
Shinchin.
Shinny.
Shintani.
Shinny.
Shinny.
And Lil Kim saying, stay hot, LA.
Ciao ciao guys.
It's good.
Stay cool. Stay cool.
We'll stay hot because it's like
Oh, stay hot?
Because we're hot.
Oh, I see. We are hot.
We are hot.
We are staying hot, but try to be cool.
Yeah. It's a work in progress.